All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, December 30th, 2014, and this is Before the First Cup with Jules and Zorie on UCY.TV. Good morning, Zorie.
Good morning. You sound better.
I just blew my nose and have been up since 7:30 sucking coffee, so yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yesterday was like instant bed to microphone, so it takes a while
That's
for me
rough
to get
anyway.
warmed up. Yeah, so how's it going there?
It's kind of cold, but it's not. It looks like it's going to be a nice day, I think.
Well, that's good.
So, yeah.
Hey, I saw something first thing this morning as I was going through news that is out of California. You know, we've been watching this drought and all the crap going on there, and how last year they had to call all the animals. Remember, they had to call the beef, and they said they didn't have the crops and they couldn't plant anything. And now, of course, we're seeing all the food prices go up. Well, I saw something pretty crazy this morning. There's some new law. There is some new law that was just passed in California in regards to eggs. Did you see that?
I seen it about a week ago. I was reading about it, but now I'm total blank this morning.
They now are requiring cage-free hen houses for eggs sold in California.
I did hear that.
That's not a bad thing. I mean, I've seen some pretty horrific videos of chickens jammed into, small cages with 30 of them in there. And it's very, very, very disturbing. But they are now saying, and I'm going to call absolute, total, utter bullshit on this. I mean, the bullshit meter's starting pretty early at 9:04 a.m. here. But they are saying now that California egg prices, and this law is going to hold true for any eggs sold in California. So if I want to sell eggs from New York to California, it's got to be cage-free hens, okay, with large hen houses. But it's going to cause egg prices to rise 10 to 40%.
Yep.
40%?
I mean, as it is today, I pay over $5 for a carton of eggs.
What?
Yeah.
And you can get them for $1.69. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe $2.69 here. But no way are we paying $5 for eggs here.
We do. I do because I get their free range and they're not, inside. They're not factory done.
So what?
How many? There's all kinds of diseases and stuff in those.
No, I'm saying, so what? Here's my thing. Why is it 10 to 40% more to have free range or cage-free chickens? I would think that it would be cheaper.
Right.
I have all kinds of friends that have tons of chickens, and they just run all over the place and spit out eggs.
Right.
So I'm saying utter absolute bullshit. Free range hens should be a hell of a lot cheaper. You're not feeding them the feed; they're eating bugs.
Right, and also, you've seen those big farms that they have them? Their breasts grow so big they can't even walk. And different portions of them for frying, for selling as chickens, cooking them. It's so sad. They can hardly move inside those things.
Well, right. And I think, too, with some of them, they probably inject them. I know I was reading something about the arsenic in turkeys. That's what makes the turkey breast get so big. They inject them with arsenic.
Wow, I didn't know what they injected them with. I just knew they did. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. But anyway, 10 to 40 with food prices going off the charts, 10 to 40% increase in eggs because they're going to be cage free. I mean, who is going to stand for that? I don't know anyone. I mean, you know what we should do is to combat this. Everyone should get 10 of their own chickens.
Yeah, that would be great.
Chickens are cheap, man. You can get chickens really cheap. 20, 30, 40 bucks. Get yourself. I mean, they sell them here in the spring for $1 a chick down at my local farm supply store.
Oh yeah, I used to have like 30 chickens and 2 roosters when I had my ranch, and we had eggs every day. You know, and if you just let them free roam out there, I mean, there's nothing to it. You know,
Well,
they take care of
exactly.
themselves.
My good friend she must have like 30 chickens now. And they built a little coop out of scrap wood that they had around, and it's a decent size. It's got multi-levels in it. And the chickens and the cats all hang out together. And when the sun goes down, the chickens all run into the coop where they got their little warm light and all their hay to go snuggle up in, and they close the door. And that's it. In the morning, they open the door and they come out. And the best part is that the roosters are freaking like guard roosters. Stay away from them.
Yeah, they will. They'll attack you.
Yeah, I've been attacked by roosters.
I have too.
This past summer, it was not good.
It hurts.
Well, not even it hurts. I mean, these things would like go stand in the road and block cars. Oh, yeah. There were a couple of them. My friend calls me after she leaves, and she got home, and she's like, my rooster smooshed in the road.
Oh, no.
And he must have been standing there, and I don't know, whoever was driving up and down the road must have had enough of the cocky rooster not letting traffic through.
Now, I used to have a bull that used to block my way all the time on the way out the property. And I had a little Volkswagen, and he was bigger than I was.
Yeah.
And there were times I would sit there for an hour while he just stood there until he felt like moving. I swear he knew my car. He knew when I was coming. It happened to me all the time.
Yeah, I wouldn't stand for an hour. He used to chase us on the ATVs. If we drove by, he'd be running behind us. And
like a dog.
Well, the dog, too. Like the dog, every time they'd come up to my friend's front porch, they'd start walking up the porch, and her dog would go crazy because they'd try and come up and attack you. They're nasty. But all I'm saying is 10 to 40% increase in eggs because you're going to make them cage-free is ridiculous. And any dumbass who lives in the city that doesn't know anything about chickens that goes along with that deserves to pay 10 to 40% more.
Pretty much, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. There's so much weirdness going on. You know, I don't know. Food isn't expensive enough now. I mean, you go to the store, your produce, everything's way up. Because, well, they weren't able to plant last year.
Well, exactly. That's what I was saying before, is like, this has just been a continuation of last year. I mean, last year they had to cull all the beef because they didn't have enough water and food to feed them. And then this year, the drought was so bad they couldn't plant any crops.
Right.
You know.
And so where's all this food coming from? It's got to be GMO. You know, it has to because they didn't plant.
Right. Well,
and yet there's still plenty of vegetables and stuff at the market.
Well, and you know, that's a good question. Where is the food coming from?
Right. China? I don't know.
Well, that's where our chicken's going to be coming from. You know, I just saw something about that again today with them sending our chickens over there to be culled to China and then send them back here.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've been asking people. I go, since they didn't plant last year hardly anything in California, and we provide over 50% of the produce in the United States, where is all this food coming from? Because I see no lack of food at all. Wow. So, you know. I don't know
about that, though. I mean, veggies have all gone up. I mean,
they've gone up, but there's no lack of them.
But I can tell you, every time you go to the grocery store to buy a few things here and there, it's $50, and you're only buying a couple things. I mean, that's unsustainable.
Yeah, it is.
You know, when hamburger is $5 and $6 a pound, and steaks $13 to $15 a pound. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I remember when hamburger was $0.25 a pound.
Yeah,
25 cents a pound.
$1.69 for the cheap stuff.
Yeah, and you know, and
now you're looking at $5 for the cheap stuff for
sometimes.
The 75%.
Yeah, if you go for the lean, it's $7 or $8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy. Yeah, and then I mean, I'm used to paying $5 for eggs, but we don't eat a lot of eggs, so you know, we don't have to buy it that often. But yeah, food is every time I go to the store. My bags get smaller, and I walk out with less money each time. Yeah,
that's the exact same here. I mean, we've actually been working on ways like I used to do when I was in college, living on $2.35 an hour, waiting
yesterday
tables.
I made a big thing of soup. and then put it in the freezer and eat
That's
off of that.
exactly it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't done that in probably 20 years. I mean, I cook and
Mm.
make pots of stuff, but that was just to cook and make pots of stuff. Now I'm cooking to make pots of stuff because
You have to.
right. I mean, I can't afford to go every other day and get stuff,
I make my own bread. I mean, once a week, I make 2 loaves of bread, and that lasts us the whole week.
Oh,
Every
that's good.
week.
That's
And it's a lot cheaper because when I go to the store and I see bread for $5 and $6 a loaf,
I know.
when I make it at home, it's less than $2.
Yeah.
And it's quick and it's easy. I mean,
And it's not
no
loaded
effort.
with all the preservatives and the
Right.
styrofoam mat or whatever
Right.
that stuff
And I
was.
put honey in it and nuts. I grind my nuts up because I have my stomach problems. I can't eat nuts,
Mm-hmm.
but I grind it up and put it in my bread. So therefore, I'm still getting the nutrients from that. My
Mm-hmm.
nuts. Make cinnamon bread. Just roll it up with cinnamon in it. And it's so easy. I mean, it doesn't take any time at all. This recipe I have.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in a cold oven for 30 minutes. It's done. So, yeah. I don't know. Food's going to get out. That's the one thing I've always said. That is when things will go completely insane. Look at how many people are on food stamps. And if they shut the food stamps off, like all of a sudden you go to the store and your card don't work, what's going to happen?
I think it's gonna be different than that, honestly. I think that any of the natural foods they're going to price out of the market for any average person. So any of the clean food, any of the food that's not loaded with horrible chemicals or GMOs or whatever, is going to be too expensive for us to buy. And I mean, that's kind of the way it is right now. That's why, you have this whole nutrition problem and obesity problem in this country because junk food's cheap.
Well, in California, they're trying to pass legislation that they can spray anywhere in California at any time without getting approval, and any future pesticides that they create they can plant. And that would mean there would be no organic food at all in California because it would, your soil has to be pure. And in the article they said there would be no economic problem there because the organic farmers could just sell to conventional stores. This is legislation that they're trying to get through here. We talked, Wendy and I talked about this about a week or so ago. But yeah, and in the legislation, any pesticides they come up with in the future, they don't have to tell anyone where they're spraying, but they can spray if they find the need.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because if you remember that, and I don't remember the name of the bill they were trying to pass, but that anti-GMO bill last year, the year before in California that Monsanto put all their money behind, and they confused everyone as to which vote was yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then it lost for the GMO labeling. But if you guys weren't on that day, but I did a whole day where we looked at the 2014 forward-looking technology statement of all the new stuff that was in the pipeline that Monsanto was working on. It's actually posted. It was a big PDF from January 2014. It's posted on the Before the First Cup page. And one of the things that we discovered in going through all the new pesticides that they were working on is that the GMO 2.0 that I've been talking about forever is using that new RNAi technology that I've been talking about, the same stuff they were using in the Ebola vaccine, same sort of stuff now that they're looking at for all kinds of things. So you better believe that it is in Monsanto's best interest to prevent anyone from knowing what they're spraying, especially in California.
Yep.
I mean, if we're looking at now pesticides being some of the same technologies that are in vaccinations,
Yeah.
you're all going to become part of a big fat experiment.
We already are to a certain extent, but yeah, you're right. And well, it hasn't passed yet. They're still debating it. Last time I looked, and
Like, where's the debate? That's what I
I
don't
know.
understand. There is no debate.
Well, they say because if there's an infestation, like of the fruit fly or something like that, they wouldn't have to wait to get permission or whatever. They could attack it right away, and Big Ag is way behind this. I mean, they are putting up big time money. And with Brown, with the governor that we have that's so
Yeah,
easily
and
bought.
second time, Jerry
Mm-hmm.
Brown, dead Kennedys sang about him 25 or 30 years ago.
Yeah,
Good old Jello Biafra. I wonder what Jello's thinking now. I should email him. I got him on
oh,
Facebook. I should email. He still is pretty politically active. I should email him and ask him what his thoughts are about Jerry Brown being in office again. He needs
I
to
know.
do a new song.
I know. We could not believe that he got. I just still can't believe that he got reelected.
Well, I know when I heard Jerry Brown, I'm like, wait a minute, is that the Jerry Brown?
And he used to go with Ronstadt. Yeah.
Yeah, Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, I looked up his picture, though, and I'm like, oh, my God, it is Jerry Brown.
Yeah. Yeah. He just, oh, God. I mean, he's done some pretty bad things, really bad. I mean, where he's the one that signed the legislation that they can give young girls over 12 Gardasil shots without their parents' permission.
Yeah, well, those Gardasil shots are another one. They're using those VLPs, virus-like particles, loaded with nanotechnology. And, I mean, I went in and actually hit the pharma page and started digging into the technology that they're using. And I'm going to tell you what, that I don't see them telling parents that they're using some newfangled technology in these vaccines.
Parents
Just that
never
it's...
ask.
No. And you know what? Hey... Version 1.0, I'm going to tell you what, my kid is not going to be a guinea pig.
Right.
You know, this next round of vaccinations that they're going to try and force on us is not happening. Not happening.
And I wouldn't either. I would already have I'd be already experimental, what is his site? But he's got all the forms for every state for opting out.
Yeah, I have a couple big sites bookmarked that have all the different ways to do it, too.
Right. You know, and I with all the evidence, I don't understand any parent just except not, at least asking your doctor what's in it. And usually your doctor won't answer you.
Well, remember, when I first asked, my doctor said, oh, you're one of those parents.
Right away. Yeah.
Hey, seriously? And,
then child?
Well, I asked her, too. I said, did you see the newest study out of one of the science journals proving that one of those girls it was in the UK, had gone into menopause at like 12 or 13 years old from that vaccine? And she's like, oh, she did not. So I actually mailed it when I got home. Yeah, I went to the pediatrician's website and sent an email directly to my doctor and said, my doctor has requested this information. Please forward it to her. And I sent the study. And you know what? There's been lots of them since. Plus, girls with that narcolepsy after getting that vaccination. There have actually been quite a few more now that they said they've gone into menopause, like literally. And, they're going to find, I'm telling you what, they're going to find that by the time that a lot of these girls are 20, because when did this vaccine start? Just a couple years ago.
A couple years ago.
That by the time these girls are 20, they will all be barren. You watch. You watch.
Exactly.
Or have cervical cancers. Oh, whoops. Yeah, we made a mistake. But you know what? You all voluntarily took the vaccine.
I know, and that's what gets me. There's so much out there. If I had a child, and I don't care if I did believe in vaccines, I would still be out there digging into it and making positive and asking my doctor what's in this injection and, the breakdown of it. But they blindly
not just what's in it, how does it work?
Yeah, right.
Right? How does it work?
Well, how crazy is that? They were thinking about giving it to boys Boys don't even have
Oh,
a uterus.
wait. My doctor argued that with me. She told me it prevents anal cancer in boys because I threw that out there. I said, and why are you people pushing this on little boys? What do little boys have to do with cervical cancer? And she says, well, it prevents anal cancer.
Oh, and boys, but
And there's such an
cervical cancer in
epidemic
girls.
of anal cancer?
Yeah, there is. I mean, geez, you know. Well, that's like the hepatitis shot right after the baby's born, a couple hours after
they
they're born.
force you to do that. They do that pretty much without your permission.
Yeah, well, yeah, my friends, the ones that have had babies recently, have had them at home or with a midwife, even though, you know, you're not supposed to have a baby midwife here.
Mm-hmm.
But people still do, and I don't blame them. You know, it's crazy, but, well, they own our kid. As soon as you make that birth certificate, you gave ownership of your child to the state.
Right.
Straight up. You know? Now your child becomes collateral for loans.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And that's why CPS can just come in and take your kid, because they own your child. It's crazy. You know? When I found that out, it just blew my mind. I wanted to go back and erase my daughter's birth certificate.
Yeah.
Say, can I buy it back?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, God,
Hey,
the more you find out. Yeah?
to totally change the subject, did you see that they found debris of the plane from
Gosh.
Indonesia? I caught the first bit of news this morning. They said they found at least 40 bodies. Now I'm seeing that CNN's reporting they found 2, which is kind of odd, but
Yeah, big difference.
yeah, so I guess they found a debris field. There also was another Indonesian jet today or yesterday that had a bit of an accident sliding off the runway.
Well, and they used to have a really good safety rep for their planes, and this is weird. All of a sudden, these, you know, planes, all the planes from there. What do you think the purpose behind that? Or is it just a fluke?
I have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
that's plane number 3 that went down.
Uh-huh.
The one over the Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
who knows? I mean, everyone
Yeah.
says it was shot down. It's very possible that it was, but why was it flying over a war zone? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when that's a no-fly zone, right.
I'm just being told that Indonesian, the most recent Indonesian jet, had requested permission, I believe, 6 minutes into the flight, to climb higher, and the request was denied.
That's so they wanted to go up over the storm.
I guess so,
That's strange.
but they denied it. So who knows? I mean, they deny
Yeah.
for many different reasons. There could have been other air traffic coming
Right.
at that level, but. You know, I don't know. Just be aware. I don't think I'd be getting on to any Indonesian airlines.
I don't fly anymore anyway. I just gave that up completely. But, yeah. Oh, you know, I seen something reminded me of you right away because, yeah, it got to you. Indiana Supreme Court upholds law prohibiting being annoying while intoxicated.
Oh, well, that's a new one. Who
Yeah,
isn't annoying while intoxicated?
Right. If you're not drinking, then almost all drunks are annoying to you.
Yes, that is very
So-
true.
Yeah, but he upheld it. So don't be annoying when you're drinking. I mean, that's insanity. I mean, well, they have, what is it? You can get arrested for being drunk in public. Public intoxication. Wouldn't that cover it?
Yeah.
I guess not.
I think that's why you can get arrested for public intoxication, because you're obnoxious.
Right, but annoying, remember we went through the full range of annoying. What's annoying for one isn't annoying to another.
Well, right. That's what we were saying about that New York law that was on the docket. I mean, being annoying is very subjective, you know?
Very, you know, so just standing too close to me could be annoying. Who knows what would be annoying to one person.
Right.
But anyway, it says Indiana. The High Court of Indiana has upheld the constitutionality of the vague law that criminalizes being annoying while intoxicated. A statute that an appellate court described as covering a vast array of human behavior. The case stemmed from the arrest of a 52-year-old Rodriguez Morgan on August 31st, 2012, according to court records. Mr. Morgan had fallen asleep in a bus stop while waiting for his bus at 9:25 a.m. Below is the court's official summary of the events that led to his arrest for public intoxication. It says, IMPD Office Bryson. Garner tapped on Morgan's shoulder and tried to wake him. Morgan raised his head and stated, "Get off of me." Officer Garner again tapped Mr. Morgan and told him he needed to leave the bus shelter, and repeated this to Morgan again when he did not respond. Morgan seemed agitated to the Officer Garner, but did not comply and get up from the bench. When Morgan stood, Officer Garner noticed he swayed. He was swaying from side to side. Morgan's eyes were bloodshot red and glassy, and Officer Garner smelled alcohol. At that time, Officer Garner placed Morgan under arrest for public intoxication because he believed him to be under the influence of alcohol and an annoyance. So it seems to me the only one he was annoying was the cop.
Well, I mean, public intoxication causes public annoyance. I think that's why that law's there. I mean, even when we were in college, I didn't know. I mean, we used to go drink, and then we'd go walk around the university neighborhood being obnoxious. You know what I mean?
Loud and
yeah, and I didn't know that there even was anything against public intoxication. And we were obviously in the public and intoxicated.
But that's been around a long time. But usually you have to really be causing a disruption, you know.
Right.
And in this, it didn't really say anyone else was around him. You know, it seemed like it was just the officer. And since the guy looked like he was sleeping, which I think he should have left him alone in the first place if he wasn't bothering nobody. But I think they're just putting the word annoying in there so it gives them more leeway.
Right.
You know, I don't know. Just that when I seen that annoying, I just thought of you right away because of that thing in New York. Did you ever find out if that did go through or not?
I haven't looked recently, but it was still just sitting on the docket. They hadn't heard arguments for anything about it.
Well, yeah, I don't see why they have to. If public intoxication is already against the law, why would they put annoying? Because they can do it when you're not drinking, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Here, I'm going to read a story, though, talking about public intoxication. I wrote a story yesterday, and I mentioned this right at the very end of the show. I had found it the night before, and it went crazy, so I thought I'd dig into it a little bit more. Title is, we posted this on Anti-Media last night, Judge Questions Legality of Trooper's Arrest of Sheriff for a DUI hit and run in county-owned vehicle.
Right.
This is the one that we were talking about where they came out and said that only the coroner in South Carolina is legally able to arrest a sheriff. And we went,
right.
What? Well, yeah, it's on the books. I found the law.
Wow.
So let me read this. Berkeley County, South Carolina Sheriff H. Wayne DeWitt was arrested Sunday night for DUI and leaving the scene of an accident, all while driving a county pickup truck. Better yet, the judge at the bond hearing stated that since Sheriff DeWitt wasn't arrested by the county coroner, the only position legally able to arrest a sheriff in South Carolina, but rather by a state trooper on patrol, there may be a legal loophole for it to be considered an, quote, illegal arrest, unquote. According to the Post and Courier, the trooper involved in DeWitt's arrest told the judge that he was unaware that only a coroner was legally able to arrest a sheriff, believing that he had the legal authority to do so. And that right there, my friends, is an important statement. He believed that he had the legal authority to arrest the sheriff. According to South Carolina State Code Section 23-15-120, and yes, I did find it, quote, if the sheriff shall be a party plaintiff or defendant in any judicial process, execution, warrant, summons, or notice to be served or executed within his county, the coroner shall serve or execute such process, execution, warrant, summons, or notice, unquote. DeWitt was stopped early Sunday a.m. by South Carolina Highway Patrol because the red county-owned pickup that he was driving matched the description of the vehicle involved in a hit and run a few miles away. During the stop, DeWitt also failed the roadside sobriety test and refused to take a breathalyzer when he was brought in for processing. DeWitt was released on $10,997 personal recognizance bond, lost his license for 6 months for refusing to take a breathalyzer, and will get to keep his job for now, as by law the governor cannot suspend a sheriff unless he is indicted. What do you think of those apples? I mean, if he's arrested, he can still breathe. I mean, when I look at this stuff and I think about criminal Attorney General Eric Holder being the biggest criminal of them all, but the head of law in the land, and then you look at this shit, it just makes you shake your head. These guys are just as criminal, if not more, than the people they're arresting. You know, how can you enforce laws that you yourself are breaking?
And didn't they say he would probably be able to get an exception or whatever so he could drive while he was working?
Yeah, that was in one of the stories that we read yesterday, that it probably would be easy for him to get that, which I actually had a coworker back at my old job who had gotten a DUI, and because his job required driving between the hours of 8 and 5, he was allowed to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this is crazy. This is nuts.
Yeah, I want to finish reading this.
Yeah, go for it.
DeWitt's DUI hearing is set for February 2015, though the hit and run hearing has not yet been set. Considering that DeWitt Sheriff's Department had just received $62,500 in a federal grant to combat drunk driving, and his department was currently running a, quote, sober or slammer campaign, according to the Post and Courier, you can see a bit of not so laughable irony here. According to the Post and Courier, quote, in November, the South Carolina Department of Public Safety's Office of Highway Safety awarded the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office a $62,569 federal grant to bolster its efforts to reduce drunk driving. It's the third year the Sheriff's Office has participated in the program. DeWitt's arrest came during his office's Sober and Slammer campaign, in which deputies step up DUI enforcement as part of the grants award. A Supreme Court ruling from a few weeks ago, I could never say this name, Hine versus North Carolina, may throw a wrench into Sheriff DeWitt's case, coincidentally about a North Carolina case involving the legality of stopping and arresting a person with probable cause by an officer who didn't fully understand the law. The stop, seizure of evidence, and resulting arrest were ruled constitutional by Chief Justice Roberts December 15th, 2014, if the law the officer believed he was enforcing was considered quote-unquote reasonable under the circumstances. In DeWitt's case, the trooper pulled over a suspect in a vehicle matching the description and in the general vicinity of a crime. The suspect was intoxicated, and the vehicle showed signs of involvement in a hit and run. The trooper followed standard operating procedure in the arrest, believed he had jurisdiction to arrest the sheriff, regardless of the suspect's title. Wouldn't the actions of the trooper be considered quote-unquote reasonable under the circumstances?
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, it fits it to a T.
I know. I couldn't believe and do you know, none of the stories that I read about this ever brought any of this up. Nobody made this connection. So I'm hoping this guy gets totally boned by this.
Oh, I do too.
Because of this new Supreme Court ruling, and the only reason I know about this is because I wrote a story about the Supreme Court ruling 2 weeks ago. Because of this new Supreme Court ruling, Hine versus North Carolina, could Sheriff DeWitt potentially find his get-out-of-jail-free card revoked?
Yeah, and one question, they don't say if anyone was hurt when in the hit and run.
They did. I didn't mention it because it really didn't matter in the story I was doing. But the guy, he went to the hospital and had no injuries, so
Okay.
there was nothing. But the trial for that hasn't even been set. During the bond hearing, DeWitt's attorney stated that he will argue whether the arrest was legal at a later date, leaving the door open to this very debate. So the outcome of this case is worth watching. According to the Herald Online, quote, DeWitt is the 9th sheriff in South Carolina to be arrested or under investigation in less than 5 years.
You should we should send a email to the prosecutor.
The DA is what I was
DA.
thinking, saying, hey, did you know about the Supreme? Because it's obvious that the judge didn't, because the judge right up front said, well, I don't even know if I'm authorized to offer bond because I don't think he was even supposed to be arrested because the state trooper didn't have authority to arrust him.
So he's not staying up with the laws, that's for sure.
Exactly. And I mean, that ruling was only literally 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the trooper himself believed that he had the legal right to arrest somebody who was doing wrong, right there, that to me falls under that new Supreme Court ruling.
Falls exactly under that. If they can do it with anyone else, they can do it with the sheriff. He didn't know he was a sheriff, and everything was lined up just like if that case was what they put that law in place for.
Right. So anyway, if anyone wants to catch that, I posted that at the antimedia.org yesterday, and actually I'll drop it in the chat.
And I'll bet there'll be a settlement on their hit and run. Bet you anything. It'll never probably go to court.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm more interested in the precedent that they're going to set here. Right. I mean, who even knew that? And I looked into it too. It's not all states that a coroner is the only one that is legally authorized to arrest a sheriff. It's only in some states. In South Carolina, it's actually a very, very old law that's still on the books. But in all of those other cases in South Carolina where there were sheriffs arrested, it typically was the feds.
Okay. And, well, a lot of times the sheriff is the coroner in a lot of
yeah, in some of the states. I saw in California there's some sort of duality there.
Mm-hmm. In smaller towns there is.
Yeah, but those are like old laws back from the old days, when you only had a one-man sheriff town, and he was the one that then authorized the death, and signed the death certificate.
A lot of those old laws, though, are still there and still on the
valid.
They don't take them away. They never take laws away,
Right.
Yeah, so interesting. It'll be interesting to watch and see how this judge, how he rules on that.
Yeah, I actually messaged Brandon yesterday because that's the state he's in, and he's pointed out to me before how South Carolina is the most corrupt state in the union. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. He said it's about an hour or so away, so it's not like it's really close, but I would like to see this the sheriff have to fess up. I mean, come on, dude. He just got all that federal money, and he was driving a taxpayer-financed F-150 to be able to drive around drunk, hit and run, and then get out of jail free. That shouldn't happen.
A community service, maybe.
Yeah, go paint a breast clinic like George Bush did.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? It will be interesting. And the follow-up usually doesn't hit the airways. It'll be local papers and stuff that would follow up on it.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because none of the story I saw hit national news. This was only local.
Yep, and that's the way it is with things like this. The smaller towns. I don't know how big that town was, but it wasn't one of the big major cities.
Yeah, I didn't see, actually.
I mean, my friend used to work at the Days Inn and up in town, and the Highway Patrol would have their yearly Christmas party there. They would be so staggering drunk, helping each other to their cars and get behind the wheel and drive home. What hypocrites.
Oh, that's nice.
It's crazy.
Speaking of hypocrites.
Hey.
Hold on one second. I saw this morning, Pigmine posted tons. I mean, way more than I can possibly digest mentally at this hour of the morning. But hold on one second, because there was a clip that caught my attention right away. Bum, bum, bum. If I can find it, I'm just scrolling.
Yeah, I scrolled down through a few of those, and man, there were a lot. I didn't have time to go really.
Well, I know. Sometimes I just do a massive brain dump. I'll put it on and hit the playlist so I can.
Yeah, and then just keep going. Yeah, I've done that too.
But this morning I got over 12 hours of sleep yesterday, so I did not.
You needed it.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better. My 2 kitties nursed me all night.
Yeah, they get up there and purr and hug you and give you lots of love.
Yeah, I had one on top of me and one next to me, and they came in and out all night and made sure I was okay. All right, let me add myself to the call. Okay. Speaking of hypocrites, we got the Clintons. The Clintons on tap.
God, make me sick.
I know. All right, here we go. Okay. I thought this was great, though, because I might actually use this in one of my little top-of-the-hour clip things. This is a montage of Bill Clinton during his election campaign speeches, kind of cut up, and then side by side with good old Hillary, giving little blurbs that are now going to lead up to her potential 2016 run. And tell me that this isn't just a line of bullshit. Another line of bullshit. Hold on here. So you got to hear this. It's called Behold the Clinton Echo. People just don't even have their own thoughts.
People have played by the rules, as my husband famously used to say. No matter who you are or where you come from.
The idea that if you worked hard
and
played by the rules,
and you play by the rules,
if you're working hard and playing by the rules,
if you work hard and play by the rules,
we're going to lift you up and out of poverty in this country today.
American families are working harder than ever.
People are working harder than ever.
Maintaining a middle-class life.
Spending less time with their children, working nights and weekends at their jobs.
Feels like pushing a boulder uphill every single day. I'm a product of the American middle class. I am grateful for everything that I was given.
And when I am president, you will be forgotten no more.
There is nothing but dignity in hard work.
I'm tired of the dignity being stripped from blue-collar work in America.
We are a nation of immigrants.
We are still a nation of immigrants.
If we don't begin to talk across all the lines that divide us, we will get further and further separate.
Oh, I was muted. What do you think of that?
I was just going to, did we die? Man, you know what? That makes me want to barf. Those guys are so evil. And I like they're really for the underdogs. Yeah, right.
They're not. And, you know, she's claimed multiple times that she's middle class. Well, I'm sure your $500,000 home puts you in that class.
Well, how about when she stated, well, when we left the White House, we were poor. We were broke.
I
we had
remember
no money.
that. I remember that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, goodness.
Did you see where Jeb is way out in the forefront and they're talking about Christie? Now, we were talking about it yesterday. I didn't think Christie was going to run.
Well, Christie was the one they were lining up, and I thought that bridge deal, like, totally screwed him out of that.
I did too, but I guess not. Him and Jeb are in the forefront, I guess.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we talked about that Cuomo and Christie vetoing that bill to look into the Port Authority. And I'm telling you, there's dirty stuff going on there. That's why they don't want an investigator. That's why they don't want an oversight committee. That's why they don't want accountability, because I'll guarantee you that there's lots of corruption going on.
Oh, you know there is. Yeah. But, so, I don't know. I really thought Christie was out of it until I read that this morning.
Well, he still may be, by the way. I mean, they have to go for the nomination. So I'm not sure. I believe, actually, let's look it up. I believe Christie is Republican, though honestly, I don't know. What's his first name? Not Chris.
Chris.
Oh, it is Chris Christie.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Hold on. New Jersey. Oh, yeah. GOP. Mm-hmm. Jeb Bush and Chris Christie, a top GOP presidential poll. I'm going to tell you right now, I bet you Chris Christie won't get it. Especially if there's a Bush. But, like, what really pisses me off about the whole Bush thing is that don't forget Jeb Bush was governor when the whole recount issue happened. That was just so dirty. So if anyone's memory is that short, then they deserve to get another idiot Bush into office.
Yeah. You know,
why would you? We have already had two, and guess what? They took us into war in the police state. Why would we go with three?
No shit, you know, and you know, like Hillary again. Are they setting it up somehow? Because remember, Hillary was running against Obama until they met with the Bilderbergs, and then all of a sudden she's backing him 100%. I'm wondering if they're going to pull another one of those things. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. I think Hillary is a shoo-in, personally. I think that they've been setting this up for a long time. You know, when they ushered her out of Secretary of State right as the whole Benghazi thing was ramping up, she fell, she hit her head. And I will tell you, and I know I don't want to sound like another loud, boisterous broadcaster always claiming that he, like, had mental clarity and saw the future, but I'm going to tell you what, I called it that minute. When she hit her head, I was like, you watch, she's going to say that she lost her memory.
Yep, they're protecting her.
And she did.
Yep,
I couldn't even believe it. They were like, oh, she had a concussion and she can't show up for the hearing. I mean, that called it right there. And then she retired. That was it. She retired before any of that shit hit the fan. And she distanced herself just enough from it so that it didn't stick.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see if Gowdy, because, you know, he's still running that special committee on Benghazi. Mm-hmm. And just last month, this month, he had another session. And I watched it with C-SPAN, but I'm waiting to see if he brings her in now, because he can subpoena anyone. This is a special committee, and I'm waiting to see if he does call her in. They've been asking all kinds of questions about: did she know? Was she in charge, or was there someone else under her in charge?
I thought that was established. I thought it was established that it was Hillary that was in charge at the time. She was the one that was ultimately responsible for getting him support and backup when they called and said they were being attacked.
Right, and why was his requesting more security refused? But see, he's breaking it down real good, and he's taking his time. And I think he's working up to where he can bring her in, and she won't be able to answer the questions he's going to ask.
I hope he does.
I know. I've been following this. This is the second. It's a 3-hour C-SPAN, and I watched all of it. And he's asking some pretty tough questions. And, you know, he said this committee is not going to be just like the other committees to see, to make sure that this doesn't happen again. This time, people are going to be accountable. Heads are going to roll. So I'm hoping that he sticks with it, but it would be something to see. Because a committee never holds anyone accountable. You know that. They just, you know, their whole thing is, we just want to make sure it doesn't happen again. They lose sight of the person who caused the problem. Now, he says he's going to do something about it, so I'll keep an eye on it. I hope so. It'll restore my faith if he does.
Hey, let me ask you about C-SPAN. I tried to go out there a couple weeks ago when I was watching the end of the legislative session to see if they were going to pass, and I'm trying to remember which bill it was that I had my eyes on, and they never did, to my knowledge. Oh, I don't remember what bill it was, but I was watching all of the final couple days session, and I tried to hit C-SPAN, which used to be freely available on the website, and it then was prompting me to have to log in to my cable provider.
Yeah, it's weird.
So it doesn't appear that it's freely available online anymore.
Not to where you have to register. But what I did, there's a place in there where you can sign up, and once a week I have all the bills that go before Congress emailed to me.
Well, you can actually go right out to the live real-time session on the site, and they give you the running, like, minute-by-minute play as to what they're discussing, what bill it is, and the bills are all linked.
Mm. But, I mean, this, I don't have to go there and spend, I can look over them, and if there's some I'm following, then I can, see where it stands. It's pretty good. But, yeah, you have to register to get into C-SPAN. It's C-SPAN 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Yeah.
But you didn't used to have to. You could just go to the site.
Right. But now they want to know who's watching, I guess. But, yeah, I signed up just because I like C-SPAN. I like it running in the background a lot,
Well, look out. I mean, if you're one of those people that's paying attention to the legislation that's being argued and passed, you might be one of those terrorists there, people. I
know, but you know what? I figure with this show, we're already terrorists.
I know.
I don't worry about it no more. I can't. It'll make you sick if you think about it all the time. I just figure, hey, go ahead, watch what I do. Watch me go out and water my garden in my boxer shorts. I don't care.
There you go. Walk around with your messy hair and...
Yeah.
I know.
I look like a Walmart participant.
Me too.
And I do in the summer. Even I have my long johns with the flap in the back. I go outside and I blow my leaves off my porch and everything in it. And I don't care anymore.
No, I don't either.
It. Yeah.
I hope my neighbors appreciate it.
Oh, I know. And some of my friends, they just like fall over because I was always the makeup on, dressed. I always had a mini skirt on and just, and now I don't give a shit. I got my hair pointed out. I'm letting it grow out. I've got streaks of gray. I said, I think it's kind of sexy. I think it'll grow out. So,
Really?
Yep. I've had burgundy hair for the last 20 years. So it's different.
Yeah, I'm probably at 15 of the glowing red. I started doing it in the 90s, so.
Yeah, I started purple hair when I was in cosmetology school. And I went purple and I said, oh, I like this. It makes a statement. And so I just stayed with burgundy. But, yeah, I'm letting it grow out. I said, heck with it. I'm tired of coloring it once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, my hair grows fast.
So does mine, but I only do it once a month.
Oh, God, I wish I could.
And sometimes once every month and a half, but then I have to do it special so you can't see, like, the inch of root.
Right, where it's a different color. Yeah, I said, screw it. I'm just going to let it grow out. So, yeah, so, I don't worry about it anymore. I don't worry about what I send in my emails and about any of it, because there's nothing I can do about that. There's not going to be any stopping the surveillance.
No.
And people, you can watch what you say and people are going to start, it pays to be a little paranoid if you have family, that you're responsible for, but we have to change your ways. Careful what you say anywhere. So anyway.
Well, I would say, careful what you say anywhere in public. Where your face and your name are attached to things.
Yeah, or your emails, or
right.
Any of that, or what you post on Facebook. We were talking yesterday about Facebook.
Yep.
Yeah, so
ditch all those friends that don't get you.
Yeah, definitely, because you know what, they're going to be the ones that are going to turn on you.
Yep, anonymously.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
go ahead.
I was just scrolling down through my news. I was going to change the subject for a second.
I'm ready.
I found a story yesterday. I don't know what I was looking at, but this was another, related story. So I don't know how I missed this one, but this is from October 2014. Man, and this is speaking of neighbors, man allegedly shoots down neighbor's drone with shotgun.
Oh,
Woo! And we've talked about people being annoying with drones and spying on people, and in Colorado they gave out that drone hunting license last year, remember?
Yes.
This was in New Jersey. Detailed by police officers along the New Jersey shore, 32-year-old waiter Russell J. Percente was arrested last week for allegedly firing a shotgun at an aerial remote control, quote-unquote, helicopter drone flying in the vicinity of his home. According to the owner of the helicopter drone, it was being used to capture photographs of a nearby home that was currently under construction. While he was flying the drone over the unfurnished home to take photos, he heard several gunshots in the vicinity and immediately lost control of the drone. When the owner recovered the broken drone, he discovered multiple holes that were likely the result of at least one shotgun blast. So, good aim, Mr. Percente. After calling the Lower Township Police Department, the drone owner directed the patrolman, Nicholas Nuxis, toward the origin of the shots. Police officers went to the home of Percente, questioned him about the shooting, and discovered the shotgun that was used in the drone attack. So it doesn't say here if they got a search warrant or anything. Upon discovery of the shotgun, Percente was placed under arrest and charged with possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose and criminal mischief. In addition, the shotgun was seized as evidence related to the crime. Bail was set in the amount of $2,500 by a local judge, and Percente quickly posted the 10% required minimum to be released from jail. In addition to the criminal charges, the owner may choose to pursue financial compensation for the destroyed drone, depending on the type of drone as well as the quality of the digital camera mounted on the drone. Percente could be responsible for hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars in damages. Regarding the law, the FAA has set guidelines that require drone flyers to stay below 400 feet when operating a remote-controlled drone, as well as keeping clear of nearby airports. New Jersey legislators attempted to pass specific drone legislation earlier this year related to the operation of devices, but it was voted by Governor Chris Christie during January 2014. So what does that mean? But it was voted what? Down? It doesn't say up? Backwards? I'm assuming it was voted down. I don't know.
Now, what I wonder about is like, okay, so if they fly over your house, okay, and you have a chain link fence, you don't have that presumption of privacy, right? What if your back deck is with a wooden, fence around it where nobody can see in? Now there you have that assumption of privacy, and so with a drone flying over that, wouldn't the drone be breaking the law? Because that would be filming and privacy.
I'm sorry, but when we did that story about the chick beating the crap out of that kid flying the drone over the beach with all the chicks in their bathing suits, you know what? Even though she got assault and battery, I think I probably would have done the same thing. You know, even if you're on a beach in a bikini, you're not expecting some little pervert to be flying over filming you with an HD camera.
Right. Well, you don't, but there's no assumption of privacy there, and that's what the law states.
Right.
You know, whether you're annoyed because he's flying over you and filming you, you're out in the open. But I'm wondering if the law stands, because I have a 6-foot fence around my house, and people can't see in. So, do I have an expectation of privacy? Yes, I do.
Well, according to that one arrest, and I think we've talked about this before, there was some guy that was busted. I don't know if he was growing or if he was dealing. I don't remember what the whole story was, but he was caught via drone on his property, and he had quite an extensive amount of property. I think he was growing. And they used that as evidence against him, and his attorney argued that they did not have a search warrant yet at that time when they were recording him over his own property. And the judge came back and ruled that because he was beyond whatever the distance was, 20 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet from his home, he didn't have an expectation of privacy.
Even if you're on your own property.
He was on his own property, but he was outside of whatever this window of distance was beyond his abode. And because he wasn't within that 100 feet or whatever it was, and he was way out on his property, he didn't have an expectation of privacy.
Now there's a tricky one, if you have posted no trespassing and you're not within seeing distance of your boundary lines, well then if you're in further, I would think you would have the expectation of privacy.
I would think anywhere on your own property, if they didn't have a search warrant, that none of that would be admissible. I mean, isn't that part of the Fourth Amendment?
It's supposed to be. Well, that's like that 100-mile no constitution-free zone. Yeah.
Right. And well, that didn't come into this case, but I was just thinking, I wonder how close that was to the Mexican border.
Good thought.
I don't know. I didn't. That was quite a while ago. I don't remember the exact details of that case, but.
Yeah, I don't know. It's iffy. I think it all depends on what judge you go in front of.
Yeah. Hey, a friend of mine just sent a story asking if we're going to get this Arctic blast that's coming. I have not seen this one yet, so I'll have to look when I get off air. But NBC News, Arctic blast creeps south to Texas while locking planes in sub-zero freeze. An icy blanket of cold temperatures set to envelop a large chunk of the nation was creeping across the southern plains into the south early Tuesday. The Arctic blast wreaked havoc on the roads and skies on Monday with snow-packed motorways from Wisconsin to Denver and hundreds of canceled and delayed flights. The deep chill was set to reach as far south as the Texas Panhandle by the end of Tuesday while continuing to lock parts of the central and northern plains into sub-zero temperatures.
Whoa, I didn't hear nothing about that.
Me neither. Oh, come on. And I've been boasting how it's been like in the 40s here. We actually got some snow yesterday for the first time in a few weeks, but it looks like it's only about an inch and a half, but it came off the lake. Wow, sub-zero is uncool because our lakes are still open. You know what happens when we get sub-zero temperatures pushed over open lakes?
It gets real cold.
We get lake effect, snowstorm, like you guys saw in Buffalo a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. So hopefully that doesn't happen. It says Vegas is bracing for a rare New Year's snowstorm.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Holy crap. Yeah, so good luck, Hecty.
Yeah, I have friends down there too in Vegas, and I know they're not prepared for snow.
Yeah, no, I remember Heidi telling me a few years ago, she called me on Christmas Eve and it was snowing and her little nephew was out there. They'd never seen snow.
You don't in California or Nevada very often, except, upper Nevada you do, like around Reno. But yeah.
Right, up in the north, in the mountains.
But really, if you look back, we didn't have any really, really disasters weather-wise this last year. Not like, but when...
Well, not like the thousands of tornadoes the year before.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of one season on, one season off. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, isn't this an El Nino year?
I don't follow that anymore. I used to follow the El Nino.
Supposedly, it's an El Nino year, not right now.
Oh, okay. So then weather's supposed to get crazy, but anymore it's crazy all the time.
Weather tends to stay pretty stable, I thought, in an El Nino.
Oh, I thought it was the opposite. I thought when it was an El Nino, that's when you had the crazy weather. Huh. I'll have to look that up. But yeah.
El Nino. It's the warm phase, right, which is why a lot of the areas south are having a really mild winter right now.
Okay.
The cool phase, called La Nina. El Nino is the warm phase.
Okay, and so it causes warm weather.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nina, the girl one, causes cold.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, I didn't know there was an El Nina.
Yeah, there's both.
It seems like, because I can always remember going, when weather would get crazy, I would hear, growing up, well, there's an El Nino, affecting the weather, but, so they were all crazy. Yeah, so, good thing to know.
Yeah, so.
I know we used to go grunion hunting. Have you ever been grunion hunting at the ocean?
No.
Oh.
I don't even know what it is, nor do I live near the ocean.
They're little, like, clam things that come up at certain times of the year. Like, there'll be a fluorescent wave. You'll look out and the waves all are fluorescent. And when they come in, then you see these grunion running back to the shore, and people catch them. And they're good eating. But, yeah, we used to go grunion running down south. But it was a trip. I had never seen a fluorescent wave before that. But it happens on certain times of the year.
During an El Nino?
I think so. Something like that. Because they only run at certain times of the year. But it's been a long time. I don't remember. But the fluorescent waves are really, really trippy. I mean, neon green waves. It has something to do with the moon and all that.
Oh, so those grunions don't have, like, bioluminescence in them?
No, you don't. You just see little brown things running that way. But you know what? Maybe they do. I was like 18 when I used to go grunion running with some friends. All I remember is sitting looking at the waves because they were just neon green. I'd never seen anything like it. And that was in Huntington Beach, down south of California. I was wondering if they even run anymore. I never hear anything about them.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they all died from the radiation.
I would doubt it, geez. And now they're saying Fukushima radiation, U.S. West Coast will likely see peak by the end of 2015.
Yeah, well, for all the people in California that are still sitting there waiting for the radiation, I mean, you've been clueless. Look at my Fukushima facts page. Read the science. It's been happening since day one, and it's not just California. It's all of us. Wherever the jet stream has been, it's been particulating out for a long time. Now they're just waiting for all the stuff in the ocean, and I just read a study the other day. Trust me, I mean, I spend a lot of time researching all the stuff that I get to post on Fukushima Facts, and go look at some of the research studies that they've been doing. They've even been showing, for everyone who said the plutonium wasn't going to be in the water, even Japan says that they've been finding the plutonium has been particulating out in the water and flowing everywhere. Mm-hmm. Unlike what they said, where it was just going to stay close to the coast.
Well, remember when they said they found it in the milk? That always told me it's everywhere if it's in the milk.
Well, I was able to download the reports from the EPA RadNet before it was all shut down and recalibrated from 1999 until April of 2011 for every station across the United States that they have been taking numbers. And there were 4 different types of numbers that they were taking. There was air, there was rainwater, there was drinking water, and there was milk. And do you know we have had radioactivity in our milk in different cities all along? All along. So I don't drink milk, but all those years we've been feeding radioactive milk on and off to our children.
Right.
And here's the thing. It particulates out to the grass. And the cows eat the grass or the grains or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's going to end up in the milk.
Right. But, yeah. They
did all that open air testing in my whole childhood. They were still doing open air testing and blowing off bombs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, up through the 70s, wasn't it? I thought.
Through the 70s? No, I thought I read it was mid-90s.
Wow.
And actually, when I went to Nevada, I was there twice last year. One of the times, just before I went, they had done an underground nuclear test right near Heidi's house. And guess what? Her mom said there was never anything in the paper about it. I showed her the story. She's like, why didn't they put that in the paper? They didn't even tell the people in Nevada they were doing an underground nuclear test.
Wow. Because I thought it got banned way back, when people started paying attention.
Well, they're now revamping the entire nuclear arsenal with all kinds of new weapons.
Jeez. That's crazy. And the people, it's like, that Mark Dice did a thing, one of those things he does on the beach. He was offering people radiated water
Oh, I remember that one.
Fukushima.
With
And
a
people
big
were
radioactive symbol on it.
right. You
People
know,
are so stupid.
oh God. And they were taking it and they were opening it and drinking it. I just, at 10 cents a bottle. Oh, well, that'll be a great deal. And as they open it up with the radiation
people
symbol.
are so stupid.
God, And you say Fukushima now. Few people still remember, but most people, Fukushima, what's that?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it
or isn't that over?
Yeah.
Here, United States nuclear test, July 1945 through September of 1992.
Wow.
I thought
That's
it was
unreal.
the 90s. And that's open air testing. And like I said, they did testing back in 2013. They were doing underground testing.
Yeah, underground, but why do they all do all this about climate change and all this, and yet they still allow this kind of shit to go on?
Yeah, and let's be worried about the carbon credits.
Yeah, right.
I mean, come on. It's all a joke, people. It really is. Do as I say, but not as I do.
Yeah.
Here, we're going to get back to Jeb Bush and Chris Christie for a second. I had found a story on it. Governor Chris Christie held his ground in a new CNN poll on 2016 Republican presidential candidate, but he and others are at the moment no match for front runner, former, so he's no longer the governor, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush. Hey, Bush just looks so goofy, doesn't he? Even when you just look at him.
I can see his brother in him, too.
Yeah, but they're all goofy.
Yeah, they are goofy looking, and they're breeding.
Bush was the pick. And you know why Bush was the pick of 23% of Republicans? Because they knew Bush's name. People are dumb like that. Oh, I recognize, hey, that's a Bush. Yeah, click.
Right.
I don't know who that Christie is. Oh, well. Not that you'd want either of them, but Bush's name is recognizable. Bush was the pick of 23% of Republicans surveyed in the nationwide poll, 10 points ahead of Christie. Physician Ben Carson, which I don't know him, is third at 7%, followed by Senator Rand Paul, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Huckabee. Bush recently announced on Facebook that he is, quote, actively exploring, unquote, a bid for the party nomination, the farthest commitment of any of the major potential candidates has made so far, but it allows Bush's support to jump from the 14% recorded in the last poll conducted in November. Christie, who had a 9% showing in November, gave mixed signals earlier this month about entering the race or when he would enter it. See, so he hasn't thrown in his hat. He was somebody, actually, that they had postulated was going to enter. I don't know, though, if this scandal really flares up, which I hope it does, he might not even jump in. During the week, he visited Canada for what he said was a trade mission. Christie, on several occasions, indicated that a presidential campaign announcement is farther off in the distance than he had previously indicated. Yes, probably has to do with the scandal. I've made no mystery of the fact that I'm thinking about running for president, but I've also made no mystery of the fact that I am not going to make any decision until well into next year. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton remains the runway leader. The former Secretary of State took the support of 66%.
No
of
way.
Democrats
That's gotta be rigged.
polled. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is second at 9%. Oh, my God. I'm telling you, Clinton is the shoo-in. I really think they've been setting her up since day one. I think that they said, you know what, it's not time for a woman president yet, and they got her to step down and take the position of Secretary of State to bolster her international experience. I really think that that's what it was. I mean, when she became a senator for New York, she went and bought her fancy house in New York and then became senator. And that was to give herself already the foot in the door for a huge state to be able to become president. They've been grooming her.
When she was senator, what did she do for the state? I can't remember anything.
No, not much that I remember. And I don't even know, do they still maintain a residence here now that she's no longer senator?
I don't know. I doubt
I don't know where they live. Honestly, I haven't looked.
Yeah, I just, why do people keep voting these guys in? I mean, one thing that got me about Obama, he was over campaigning in Europe. Everyone in Europe loved the man and wanted him to be president. And then just now about them going up to Canada, you know.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was up visiting Crackpipe Ford. Mayor Ford. You know, that's who Christy reminds me of, by the way.
Me too.
Is Crackpipe Mayor Ford of Toronto.
Yep, loud, obnoxious, and fat. Yep.
Yeah, wait, where is Mayor Crackpipe Ford in chat this morning? Sometimes he shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said Hillary Carpetbagger Clinton.
Well, look at the murders. That's what gets me, the string of deaths behind those that family.
I think we need to, if she really is the front runner at like 66%, I think we need to really dig into the Clinton murder string that followed them all throughout their political history.
Right.
We need to do a documentary or something on it with lots of evidence behind it.
Right, and like with Clinton, that one time when he made a statement, I have never, you know, I've been accused of things, but I have never gone to court I've never been charged with any crime. That's because they killed the people that were on their way to court to testify about them.
Well, they all mysteriously passed away.
One guy at a stop sign, he was on his way to court. At a stop sign, somebody just pulled up next to him and shot him in the head.
Oh.
Now that's mysterious.
Yeah, I guess so. It was a drive-by shooting, right?
Yeah, in a influential neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Oh, yeah, every day.
Especially when you're on your way to court to testify against the Clintons.
Yeah, in other words, don't. You know, I have an article. I have to find it. Way back. This is way before Kennedy, or was when Clinton was running for office or something like that. But you know what? It was an article about all the deaths of the Clintons' close friends.
Yeah, there's a video on that, actually, and it scrolls through all of them.
Yeah, this is like before they really became really high up. I mean, before he became president. I think he was still governor of Arkansas.
Yeah, I was in Arkansas when he was governor. Yeah, that was when I almost disappeared on my first cross-country trip. Arkansas was scary back in the early 90s, guys.
Well, remember the two kids that died on the railroad tracks, they said? And it's still a mystery there. And it was to do with the big drug trafficking there, that these kids seen or overheard something and they put them on the tracks.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to tell you what. I do remember that. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it showed, they put them on the tracks and said they fell asleep on the train tracks.
On the train track.
Right.
Who would fall asleep on the train tracks?
Yeah.
Come on.
12 and 14 years old, I think.
Yeah, we fell asleep on the train tracks. I do that all the time.
And they found markings and stuff during the autopsy that would not have been from, like, the one was
falling
choked.
asleep. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's still really open back there. And, I mean, he was involved in so much, you know, death and just, they are so dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Don't ever become a friend of theirs because your life expectancy is very short.
Mm-hmm. Here, hold on. We got to connect here for a second. Let's see if I can get this to play. Hurry up, of course.
Oh, I see Mayor Ford's crack pipe is
showed up. Yay!
Yeah!
Mayor Ford heard us. Oh, how interesting. Now that I've been talking about Hillary and trying to click on this, nothing is going anywhere.
Oh, shit.
Come on. She must be on the watch list now.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. I know, and I find that it's
just sitting here spinning. I can't even get to the link.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. It's trying. Oh, unable to connect to the internet is now what it says. Though my Skype is connected just fine.
Yeah, isn't that strange?
As is my Facebook, as is Anti-Media, as is the chat room. It just is unable to connect to the internet for this one tab. Okay.
You're not watching. No.
Wait. What on earth?
same time, learning hindsight's always right. We came together in no way.
I hope this doesn't give me a copyright strike. This is Hillary's Pack song.
Okay, I was wondering what that was.
And now it's 2016, and this time I'm thinking, guys, put your boots on and let's smash this ceiling. Oh, I've been thinking about one great lady like the women in my life.
Hillary.
Daughter, and through it all, she's a loving wife. Oh, there is something about her, this great lady, caring, hard-working, once the first lady. She fights the country and my family. Now it's time for us to stand up.
I want the link to that. Oh my God.
Oh, let me drop that in chat.
How much does she have to pay them to say those words?
Well, and not only that, like my friend and I were talking about this the other day, you know, Hillary is a northerner, kind of, because she went with New York, you know what I mean? Southerners don't care for New Yorkers too much. And so notice how they did it with a southern twang and southern music. And typically a lot of the South is GOP Republican. Did you notice that?
Well, have you noticed that whenever Hillary makes speeches, she takes on the accent of wherever she is?
Well, there was a speech just recently. Yeah. There was a speech just recently where she was giving it down south and she had a southern twang.
Yeah.
I was like, you lying piece of... Oh, God.
Oh,
yeah, she's really jockeying.
Oh, God. That woman, she's just so evil. You know, you look at her and you know. I mean, it oozes out of her even more than him.
Well, I don't know if it oozes out of her pores, but...
Well, it's like Feinstein. I see both of them oozing all the time. So, yeah.
I just think they're a bunch of liars and they've manipulated their way into the position that they're in. All of them. I mean, if anything is evidence of that, it's this.
People have played by the rules, as my husband famously used to say. No matter who you are or where you come from.
The idea that if you worked hard
If you work hard
and played by the rules,
and you play by the rules.
if you're working hard and playing by the rules,
If you work hard and play by the rules.
we're going
Yeah,
to
whose
live
rules?
out of poverty in this country today.
American families are working harder than ever.
People are working harder than ever,
Maintaining a middle class life
spending less time with their children, working nights and weekends at their jobs.
feels like pushing a boulder uphill every single day. I'm a product of the American middle class. I am grateful for everything that I was given.
And when I am president, you will be forgotten no more.
There is nothing but dignity in hard work.
I'm tired of the dignity being stripped from blue-collar work in America.
We are a nation of immigrants.
We are still a nation of immigrants.
If we don't begin to talk across all the lines that divide us, we will get further and further separate.
Honestly, I can't even believe that. I mean, she's been so coached.
You know, she hasn't even driven a car in over 30 years. She has chauffeured everywhere.
Well,
And
that's
this
what
is a
they
woman
do in the
that-
middle
yeah.
class.
Yeah, in the middle class. Sure it is. I remember that well when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. People have such short memories. And you know, I don't know. But it's weird because she's so high up, but yet I don't hear one person saying they will vote for her.
60-some-odd% apparently did in that poll.
I don't. Well, I lie in polls a lot too, though. You know, when they call and ask me questions, oh, sure, I'll take your poll, and I just go way out there.
Well, the thing is, and I mean, who did they poll is the question. Because
Yeah,
you don't know that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't believe in too many polls because, you know, how it's like statistics. People, you can read one statistic that's for here and another statistic right over there that counteracts it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Whew. She just wears me out. She's just so evilish.
I just can't stand the hypocrisy, honestly. I mean, I got to tell you, I didn't have much respect for her, but then after she tripped and hit her head right before the Benghazi hearings, that was the end of that for me.
Yeah, I've never, well, ever since I read that article about all the people dying around their friends, their colleague friends even and stuff, I kind of got leery of both of them then, but... it's just all put on. And we keep voting the same rich people in there that have nothing in common with any of us.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to look down through news. A lot of the news was dominated by this Indonesian flight that was down. I mean, I wonder what they're trying to cover up right now. Right. Now, remember, today's the day that small arms treaty is supposed to go into effect. And because Congress is out on vacation right now, it's not going to get ratified at least until after it's back in session again, right, with the new Republican Congress. And, you know, what will be interesting to see about that is typically, traditionally, Republicans are more gun-friendly than Democrats are. Righties are more gun-friendly than lefties, right?
Right. Right.
So I don't know if this is going to get signed off, but, you know, who knows what all the backdoor dealings are.
Right. You know, it's like Jesse Ventura said, politicians are like wrestlers. They go out, they put on a big show, then they go to dinner afterwards. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, you know, I was thinking that, too, with the airline. Look, remember, you know, they make it's everywhere in the news, and that's all they're talking about, and yet you look for what's back there, what they're hiding.
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, we have the Russian economy is in total meltdown. Mm-hmm. We have North Korea. I mean, that whole, and I don't know, that whole hack attack thing. But, you know, we looked at that IP Viking. If anybody wants to see it, I haven't looked at it in a few days, but it's map or maps. I don't want to, well, I'll try and go out there. I think it's map.ipviking.com. And, yeah, that's it. And it shows all of the real-time cyber attacks going on. There's this company that's behind this, set up all these traps to capture traffic so they could be mapping the stuff. And, there are lots of attacks. I'm seeing them coming out of, it looks like China. There's some coming out of Russia right now. There are a couple blips coming out of South America. I actually see New Zealand is hitting us right now, too.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's some in Europe that are shooting back at China. It's nowhere near as crazy as it was a few days ago.
Well, now they're saying that it was disgruntled employees that did Sony's thing, a hack.
Well, it's very possible. I don't think you'll ever know. My dad and I were talking about that the other day. To me, it almost seemed like it was an inside job. Somebody who was disgruntled, who wanted to get all that private information out there. And I saw that the film that they released anyway online did like $15 million online. So not a loss for anyone. And it's very possible it could have been a promotional stunt.
That's true, too. Look at all the free publicity it got. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have the link for that maps one?
It's map.ipviking.com.
Oh, okay. Map IP Viking.
Map.ipviking, yeah.
Yeah, oh, cool. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. I didn't know that site existed.
Yeah, just be aware. Sometimes if I have lots of stuff open, it starts to suck all my resources on my machine, so... That's why I didn't want to go there while I was on air, because that's not what I need right this moment.
Okay, map.viking.
IP Viking.
Oh, IP. Okay, got it. Okay.
.com.
Cool. All right. I didn't know that about that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think Hunt actually posted that in the chat room a couple days ago when I caught it. But it's a pretty slick site, and we looked into who runs it and how they were doing it, and it looks pretty legit.
All right. Well, that's not going to make them very happy, is it?
No.
I mean, everybody's spying on everybody. It's kind of comical if you see, like, people still being shocked by it.
Yeah.
You know? Nothing shocks me anymore, it seems like. Excuse me. Oh, okay. Now where do we go? We've kind of...
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of places we could go. I found a video that I had watched a couple years ago. Hold on. It's on the Before the First Cup page. I found a video that I'd watched a couple years ago the other day, and it's interesting because I haven't been able to find it, and it was linked in a story that I had run across, and when you clicked on the video, it said that the video was no longer available. So, you know, I don't take no for an answer usually, especially if I'm looking for something. And so I right-clicked on it, and I actually went into the code, and when I went into the code, I found the embed link. So I just copied and pasted that and threw it into another browser tab, and it opened. So for some reason it was blocked out of the story, but I actually found the video, and they were saying in the one story that it had been taken down everywhere. So I'm hoping that this still plays. I actually did download it because, you know, this is one of those videos that I've talked about a bunch of times, and it hasn't been available, and I haven't been able to find it since. But we can take a look at this. Because, you know, this is about all these nano drones, the bug drones, the hawk drones. And what made me actually get into this is that there's some new technology by DARPA that I ran across the other day that made me go, oh, shit. So here, am I still connected or did I disconnect? Yeah, let me reconnect here. And let me play this for you. It's titled Air Force Bugbot Nano Drone Technology. And for anyone who's ever doubted, like, the craziness that I've mentioned to you guys, you won't doubt this anymore.
Oh, wow.
This is
I do it to stay sharp.
Oh, commercial.
I take care of my body.
This is a DARPA vid. Wow. And, of course, they put a 30-second ad. Okay, here we go.
Micro air vehicles, or MAVs, will play an important role in future warfare. The urban battlefield calls for tools to increase the warfighter's situational awareness and capacity to engage rapidly, precisely, and with minimal collateral damage. MAVs will be integrated into future Air Force layered sensing systems. These systems may be airdropped or hand-launched, depending on the mission requirements.
They're showing little flying bugs now, bug drones.
The small size of MAVs allows them to be hidden in plain sight. Once in place, an MAV can enter a low-powered extended surveillance mode for missions lasting days or weeks.
I want to pause for a second. Because, yeah, I've talked about this video before, and a lot of it is visual, so I'm going to drop this in chat when we're done. But in this image that they're showing, there is a bird drone, and I've talked about these, sitting on a power line, looking toward a window in a building. There's a van parked down below, and the bird drone is drawing the power. And I've read like stories from the science magazines about these, where they can actually suck the power out of the power lines and sit there for weeks recording you with their cameras in the eyes, and you're never even going to see them because they look like birds.
Sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me continue.
Okay.
They require the MAV to harvest energy from environmental sources, such as sunlight or wind, or from man-made sources, such as power lines and vibrating machinery. It will blend in with its surroundings and operate undetected. MAVs will use microsensors and microprocessor technology to navigate and track targets through complicated terrain, such as urban areas. An MAV operating in urban terrain will have more agility challenges than larger UAVs. Obstructions can cause wind gusts, even on a calm day. One way to overcome this is to learn from examples in nature and use flapping wings to fly. Sensing an oncoming gust, feedback control directs the wings to flap asymmetrically, compensating for the wind. Small size and agile flight will enable MAVs to covertly enter locations inaccessible by traditional means of aerial surveillance. MAVs will use new forms of navigation, such as a vision-based technique called optic flow. This system remains robust when traditional methods, such as GPS, are unavailable. Multiple MAVs, each equipped with small sensors, will work together to survey a large area. Information from these sensors will be combined, providing the swarm of MAVs with a big picture point of view.
Swarms.
I remember that. Remember when we were looking into the
yes,
swarms?
the robo-bees, the swarms, and I'm telling you, there was just a new video that came out that I found the other day. I do my nightly, I have Google searches that scrape for Fukushima, nuclear,
ARPA.
I don't remember what the third one was, and the fourth one is DARPA. Yeah, so I get them every night in my mailbox. And there was one the other day talking about the Hawk drone that is now going to be used for cities and buildings, and they are building these unmanned area vehicles in the shapes of hawks, like hawks that can fly at 45 miles an hour through buildings for homes and sweeping urban warfare. Okay? And here's the thing. If you follow it back, it's all back to the Weiss Institute, which guess where that is? MIT, the same place the robo-bees are from. So this is scary-ass shit, but this video is from a few years ago when they were just planning on this technology. This technology is built now. So, but pay attention, because this was the video that it actually talked about, and it comes up at the beginning about how when they take these swarms and they get into buildings and they're using it for surveillance, that they can remotely take you out. And they show one of these little bug drones shooting the guy in the back of the neck. So hold on. Here we go.
Scary.
Here we go.
Data will be communicated amongst the MAVs to enable real-time, reliable decision-making and to provide an overall surveillance picture for other platforms or operators. Each individual MAV may perform a very distinct mission from its fellow swarm members. While some MAVs may be used purely for visual reconnaissance, others may be used for targeting or tagging of sensitive locations. Individual MAVs may perform direct attack missions and can be equipped with incapacitating chemicals, combustible payloads, or even explosives for precision targeting capability.
And that was when he hit the guy in the back of the neck with poison or whatever the hell it was, and the guy went down. Yep. All right, hold on.
And if that's a few years ago, you know it's out there right
now.
Yeah.
This was from a few years ago. It's actually a pretty low-definition video. But I'm telling you, I knew I saw this somewhere, and I've never been able to find this video again. And I stumbled across it the other day. I'm like, holy shit, here it is. Wow. All right, here, let's play the rest.
Okay.
MAVs may carry sensors to detect chemical, biological, or radiation threats and relay this information to human operators or to other unmanned platforms. Like their biological inspiration, MAVs are not limited to flight. The agile hovering, perching, and crawling MAV will fulfill the mission popularly termed dull, dirty, and dangerous, like no current system can. MAVs will become a vital element in the ever-changing warfighting environment and will help ensure success on the battlefield of the future. Unobtrusive, pervasive, lethal, micro-air vehicles, enhancing the capabilities of the future warfighter.
I mean
the warfighter,
yeah.
Citizens.
In urban environments, this to me is terrifying. We're going to be attacked by freaking bug drones.
Mm-hmm. And you're not going to see them coming.
HD surveillance. No, you're not. There, look at that.
Well,
Let me put a few dots. Yeah, I'll put a few dots in front of it. There's the direct link. So that's in chat. So hold on one second. Let me get back to that page because, and we just saw, and I found another story on this, but we saw a few months ago that there was a story about the new smart chips that they're putting on these drones that mimic human brains.
Yeah, that's real scary.
Yeah, so they've been talking about these things making their own decisions to kill people. I mean, they've been talking about that for a long time. And there are groups internationally that are saying, no, this is ethically wrong to have machines deciding whether or not they're going to take out a target without human intervention.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a story from December 23rd. DARPA wants drones nimble enough to zip through buildings at 45 miles an hour. The hawk zips through the forest, moving through dense trees, foliage, and debris with incredible navigational skill and precise movements. The bird of prey finds its way around all obstacles. DARPA created this amazing video, and it didn't do so just to remind us of how cool hawks are. The Department of Defense's mad scientists are testing small autonomous drones, and they want them to be just as capable and maneuverable as a hawk zipping through a forest in search of prey at 45 miles an hour. DARPA's fast, lightweight autonomy program would use new algorithms, there's algorithms again, to create more adaptive drones that could be used in times of emergency or war. Yeah. These drones are small enough to fit through windows, can fly at 45 miles an hour, and can navigate and stay on task without using GPS or outside communicators. Someday these tiny drones could find survivors during a natural disaster. Yes, that's how they're going to sell them to you. Gaining entry points where humans and other unmanned vehicles cannot.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't know if I play this. I don't know. This shows a close-up of a hawk flying blisteringly through the forest and avoiding obstacles. I don't know really, and this is a DARPA video. Hold on. I don't know if there really is any audio here, though.
Yeah, it's fascinating to watch hawks swoop down and through the trees like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's actually what they did in this video is they mounted a camera on this hawk. So you're getting a first-person bird's eye view of what it looks like as he's flying through the forest and navigating between all these trees. There's no audio on here at all. I can drop this in the chat. This actually was out of Popular Mechanics, December 23rd, titled DARPA Wants Drones Nimble Enough to Zip Through Buildings at 45 miles an hour. If you're looking for that, popularmechanics.com. If you want to see that video. But when you watch that through the bird's eye view, I mean, there's going to be no escaping at all. No escaping. And especially if they man these things with poisons and darts and whatever. And you got the cameras on them with 230-point facial recognition and whatever. There's going to be no escaping at all.
I don't think there is already. No escape.
My nightmares back from 20 or 30 years ago, those little flying triangles, the only place you'll be able to hide is in the walls, are going to come true.
Yeah.
They're all going to come true. That will be the only place to hide. Inside the concrete walls.
Nope, because they also remember when they were going through New York with those vans and they could see through steel. They could see through cars.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and see, people hunched down in there. So no, not even the walls would be safe.
Underground.
Well, then you got
in my dream, it was in the basement, in behind the brick walls, the cinder block.
Oh man, I've had dreams of that and being hidden like that, and then have them come, and then you hear them
find you. Well, they
crash.
open the door. Yeah, that's where the dream always ended.
Yep. Here too.
So I don't know. When I see stuff like that, though, it makes my hair stand up on my arms. Because that shit's real now. That shit is coming.
I mean, remember how scary it was when you first read 1984, and how certain parts would just grab you and terrify you? Well, that's nothing. That's like a nursery rhyme nowadays.
Oh, 1984, absolutely. 1984 is like Happyville.
And that was one of my largest fears after reading that. That just did it for me.
Here's a story out of this new publication that I found. It looks like it's an electrical engineering design publication by the same group of publishers that do like a lot of the computer publications that I used to follow when I was as an engineer. UBM. I recognize the symbol at the top. But this is the EDN network, so it's probably the Electronic Design Network because they have a lot of breadboards and different designs and stuff out here. But this is titled Smart Chip Mimics Human Brain Functions. Hold on, let me... Skype is still open there. HRL Laboratories, based in Malibu, California, recently tested a prototype neuromorphic chip with 576 silicon neurons aboard a tiny drone measuring 6 by 6 by 1.5 inches and weighing only 93 grams. The project, of course, was funded by DARPA. And DARPA is funding all this stuff, okay? So don't ever think that this is happening from anywhere else. All these universities that are building all these things, and they got all these children that think that they're, being great little electrical engineers doing the robotics contests and stuff. They're building technology that's going to enslave your families in the future. So if there's any young, promising electrical engineer out there, please open your eyes. This is not fun. You guys are doing this with DARPA money, and they are using all this technology in what they call quote-unquote warfare. But all that stuff turns around, and it's going to come back and be used on us. Don't think that that's not going to happen. My one tech friend that when the drones first started coming, and I was posting about drones, and he was like commenting about, oh, well, they're never going to use that on us. They're never going to arm these things. And then look. Then they started arming them. Oh, well, they're never going to use them here. Well, then look. Then they started using drones here for this, that, and the other thing. Right now, humanitarian missions or for hunting for fugitives. And now they got all the journalism kids in journalism school learning to use drones to be able to do their newscasts. My future visions of Running Man are not that far off.
Not at all.
I think those Sarnev brothers, some of those shots that they got of them aerially when they were in the manhunt was drone. You didn't see, it wasn't like a standard helicopter where you had to actually kind of rotate around the area while you were airborne. It was just sitting in one location. You know what I'm talking about, like when a helicopter can't stand stationary for long periods of time.
And there's always some movement there.
This was just kind of floating above. You could see that it was, some sort of aircraft, but it was getting some nice HD IR shots at night of the scene. Remember when he was in the boat? You know the one I'm talking about? When the kid was in the boat under the top? Or the tarp, I mean. So, I mean, this isn't Futureville. This is today. The drone, custom built for the test by AeroVironment of Monrovia, California, flew between 3 separate rooms. And trust me, I've already seen testing where they've been doing swarms inside houses. And that's kind of what that first video was talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Swarm technology with these micro drones. The aircraft was able to process data from its optical, ultrasound, and infrared sensors and recognize when it was in a new or familiar room. And that was the big thing about this new technology, is that these drones can learn from their environment. They're using ultrasound to be able to map the layout. And so when they go from one room to another, they're mapping out a room. And if they come back to that same room, they don't need to remap it, because guess what? They remember all the obstacles.
Exactly.
Like your eyes would.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it'll visualize what's there, but it remembers it was there before. Tim Simpsonite of the MIT Technology Review reports that for the first time, the drone was flown into each room. Quote, the unique pattern of incoming sensor data from the walls, furniture, and other objects caused a pattern of electrical activity in the neurons that the chip had never experienced before. That triggered it to report that it was in a new space, and it also caused the ways its neurons connected to one another to change in a crude mimic of learning in a real brain. Learning drones, people. Those changes meant that next time the craft entered the same room, it recognized it and signaled as such.
Right, he would know already. That's
again,
scary.
And my hair is standing up on my arms, and it should be on yours too. According to Narayana Siravicina, PhD, principal research scientist, and director of HRL Center for Neural and Emergent Systems, the experiment, quote, shows it is possible to do learning literally on the fly while under very strict size, weight, and power constraints, unquote. The chip weighs just 18 grams and uses 50 milliwatts of power. Both the drone and the chip were developed as part of a DARPA-run project called, now get this, Systems of Neuromorphic Adaptive Plastic Scalable Electronics, which is acronymed SYNAPS. Haha, how cute is that? A collaborative effort involving HRL Laboratories, and I've talked about these two before, Hewlett-Packard and IBM Research. And by the way, HP and IBM are both working on their supercomputer brain neuropathic systems. And I posted a whole bunch of crap about those guys the other day too. Its vision is to, quote, develop low-power electronic neuromorphic computers that scale to biological levels. People, it's coming, and it's coming fast. DARPA has invested millions of dollars into the effort and emphasizes size, weight, and power requirements. I just saw, too, that they are building these miniature batteries using 3D printing at, like, an atomic scale.
Wow.
Remember, electrical storage is one of the big issues that they've had with a lot of the stuff, and it doesn't look like that's going to be too much of an obstacle anymore. Anyway, DARPA has invested millions of dollars. It indicates that, quote, biological neural systems such as the brain process large volumes of information in complex ways while consuming very little power. Power savings are achieved in neural systems by the sparse utilizations of hardware resources in time and space. Since many real-world problems are power limited, like I was just saying, and must process large volumes of data, neuromorphic computers have significant promise. According to Simpsonite, one motivation for the work is this in this area is, quote, the hope that neuromorphic chips might make it possible for military drones to make sense of video and sensor data for themselves. Like I was saying, without human intervention, identify targets, 230 facial point recognition, and launch a kill code, you know?
Right. You know, I mean, there's no emotion, there's no nothing. It's just done.
Yeah, there is no emotion. There is no human morals. There's no regret.
No, nothing.
There's just an execution of a command, which is what a computer does.
Yeah, she's, you know, that's, computers are going to be in control of us, period.
Well, Skynet is being born, and these are going to be the enforcers. And, you know, all the stuff with the police and the corruption, I'm telling you, I almost think that this is going to turn around and bite us all in the ass. We can cry all we want and point out all the corruption in the police departments. Well, they'll fix that. Guess what?
They'll replace
They'll just
them.
put robots on them. Yeah. You know what? These will be the new enforcers, and then there's no corruption. They're robots.
Right.
They do what they're told by their corrupt human counterparts.
Right.
All right, let me just finish this. Where did I leave off? Aha. All right, according to Simpsonite. No, Simpsonite. Isn't that luggage?
Yeah.
According to Simonite, one motivation for the work in this area is, quote, the hope that neuromorphic chips might make it possible for military drones to make sense of video and sensor data for themselves instead of always having to beam it down to Earth for analysis by computers or humans, unquote. Several companies, including, and get this, GM bailout, GM bailout federal dollar, GM, and Boeing, Military Industrial Complex Boeing, who are both the joint owners of HRL Laboratories, mind you.
Oh, shit.
Are working to figure out a way to commercialize the technology. Commercialize little brain thinking, identifying, act on their own technology swarm drones? Commercialize.
For corporations.
Commercialize, yes. The technology. H.R.L. Cervina, he's the PhD in charge, says one option could be using the chips to build better intelligence into sensors found in cars, planes, and other safety systems. So they're not talking about this intelligence, putting it on drones. They're talking about making your cars smart with brains. Yes, and planes. And smart with brains.
Wow.
Thinking brains that learn and hear everything you're talking about and watching everything you do. It's going to be in your freaking alarm clock next.
And programmed for one purpose.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. I'm going to tell you what. If there is anything out of anything that's going on right now that we should be scared of, it's this.
Yes. We've always said that. Go and keep an eye on what DARPA's doing. I mean, they're everywhere in every aspect, every university.
They are.
Where our young, they're using our young people's brains, putting them in contests, and they don't even realize what they're doing, a lot of them.
That's why I'm saying, and not only the young engineers in college, but the electrical in particular, but I am talking about all the engineers, the chemical as well. A lot of my friends went into chemical engineering, got their PhDs and whatever, and they're doing things now. But, be aware of the fact of what is going on in regards to GMOs. And now with this RNAi technology, that's not only going on in GMO food, but in vaccines and everything else. This, like I've said many, many, many times before, is the destruction of biological life as we know it. We are giving intelligence and cognizance to machines. I mean, anybody who's ever seen Battlestar Galactica, and I'm not talking the 70s one, that was cool, but the most recent one with the Cylons, and they had, the metal Cylons, and then they had the skin jobs. And then they revolted against the human race.
Yeah.
I started looking at that, and I got to tell you, that series, I love sci-fi ever since I was a little kid.
Me too.
That series was freaking great, and it was very, very telling when you look at some of the stuff going on today. And I know this stuff sounds like sci-fi, but it is not sci-fi anymore. It is reality.
Yeah. If you want to know what the future holds, just go watch some sci-fi, because it always seems to go that way.
Or set up a Google alert to scrape yourself DARPA news on a daily basis.
I have that on my other hard drive. I'm still waiting. I'm still in battle over my computer.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, just set it up in your mail account. You could set it up to do searches for you.
Okay.
It dumps you an email every night at like 2 o'clock in the morning. You get the email with all the stuff it found while it was indexing the web that had DARPA in it.
Oh, okay. I have to set that up because I just used to go to the site, DARPA bet.
No, you know what? But there's all kinds of stuff, because remember, DARPA might not be publishing all the stuff that it is doing with the universities. To find all that stuff, you need to also look at like FBO.gov, which is where they put out all the requests for information, the requests for proposals when they're looking for people to bid on it to build their stuff. But if you do like a Google alert search, it scrapes all those sites. So anywhere that it indexed. And there we go. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That caught me by surprise. All right, guys. Everybody have a happy Tuesday. Thank you for being on with me today, Zorie. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Mr. Kevin Blanche is live up next. And it is Tuesday night, prepper night. Make sure you guys come back. We got primer time, prepper chicks, and all things apocalyptic. Anti-media radio, so be a good night. And Mr. Chocolate Jelly, the Jelly Effect. All right, guys, have a great day. Take care.